Hi, welcome to Dark Days Radio, and this is another episode of Dark Iron's Coffee Machine. So, again, more Iron Kingdoms content, more Warmachine content for you. And today, you may have seen already, or just say, you may have seen already a quick flick through on our YouTube and social medias of the Warmachine Core Book. This is the new Warmachine 4th edition rulebook from Steamforged Games, and so I thought we'd have a bit more of a deeper dive into what we have. So, if we look at the front cover, we have the Warcaster Magnus, who is a mercenary, and artwork of him and the Invictus Super Heavy Warjack. On the back, we have a full description of what we'll find inside, which is going to tell us some lore about the Iron Kingdoms, the rules of the game, and also some samples of setting, lore, artwork, and some missions. Well, details on how you play and set up the game as well. So, what else do we have in here? So, we've got some cool artwork of the Brine Bloods. We have a map of Imoran. And then we've got a setting that leads us from basically the start of civilization all the way through the Thousand Kingdoms, the coming of the Orgoth, the founding of the Iron Kingdoms, the infernal invasion of Lael, the infernal invasion, and leading us up to where we are now with the lore, with the setting. So if you want to catch up with some of this, go to our previous episodes where we look at the setting of Iron Kingdoms. Another map, some background material covering each of the factions and what they're like, who they are, what society is like a little bit for them. There's quite a few here. Some things to note, actually. We do have a little bit of description of the Circle Orboros, Laelord and Rule. And we will find here we go. We also have some information on the Scorn. So I feel this is priming us for the return of some elements of these factions at a later point in this edition of the game. You'll also notice there's some description of the Protector of Menoth, and we know they're coming back. Then you've got a quick start guide. Now this is the quick start guide that leads us through how to play the game with the Signar Hellslingers, which is Kane, and the Khador SKS 6, which is led by Vilkel. So it takes us step by step through how the rules operate, turn by turn. And we'll have already seen this. This already exists as a PDF download for us to read. So it explains how everything interacts in the rules, pretty much explaining special attacks, explaining damage grids. So you have here, explaining terrain, how that all operates with the game. Now, this is great because this I'm going to be honest, you don't see this in the main rulebooks ever for other particular well-established war games. You know which one I'm talking about. And it makes us easier to get introduced to. Now, of course, as I said, free to download, but the fact that it's available as something you can read without having to use a device makes it maybe a little easier to digest and take on board if you're new to the game. So, with that said and done, we then get some more artwork, some minis, we get descriptions of each of the sub-factions of each group, so Storm Legion, Gravediggers, Wintercore, Old Umbre, Sea Raiders, Reaper Covenant, which is what the new box from Frozen Forgotten has in there, House Carlos with Fane of Nira, again, Frozen Forgotten, Brine Blood Marauders, Kithgard, obviously two parts of the Trollkin, Shadowflame Shard, and Emberfrost Shard. I don't think we've seen anything yet of Emberfrost Shard. Correct me in the comments. And then Necrofactorum. We only get one thing about them. Feel like we've got a big gap ready for those to have, for Crix to have a new faction. And then we get into the rules. So again, you can see it's nicely laid out, step by step, with diagrams. Again, you'll have seen this all if you've downloaded the PDF. The important things to say about this is that, of course, we know in the January updates, the updates we're getting in January for the game is profile modifications. How strong, how tough, how good they are in combat, how much damage weapons are doing. Those are being tweaked. Now, fortunately, because those are profile modifications, they don't invalidate the rules that you get in this book. Meaning this book stays pretty much, I guess, consistent for a long while. I mean, it's effectively the same rules. It is the same rules as when Privateer Press brought out the recent edition, the new edition. So this is just a collation, writing out a layout, an exercise in layout to really give us the best introduction to the rules to date. So yeah, that covers movement, that's diagrams, etc., etc. Tramples, special attacks, all the special rules we expect from warlocks and war beasts. And then we get to army construction. Now I'm going to raise this point here because, of course, in army construction, we'll note that customization is there for warjacks and war beasts. Command cards are noted. Mercenaries are noted. But we don't have reference to the spell rank. So the spell rank was a list of spells that warlocks and warcasters could pick from as you build your army. Now, we're going back to what it was like in the previous edition of Warmachine, or previous editions, let's be more accurate, of Warmachine and Hordes, essentially, where the warlocks and warcasters, your leaders to your army, had a fixed list of spells. So now this means that they're going to become, in some respects, more unique. You're not going to be able to just, smooth out the edges on how your army operates for each leader. And this rulebook, of course, makes no mention of spell rack, meaning this rulebook is already accommodating the January updates. Finally, some rules on terrain, and the great thing is there's lots of different terrain rules in the game, which I want to make use of more often in the game. Things like, quicksand, acid baths, so forth. Timing, in case you get into those points where you're like, how should this resolve, in what order? Because that's important to the game. And then the special rules about particular types of factions, like, Infernals or Cephalax or so forth. And that's it. That's a 130 odd page rule book. It has, I think it could be bigger in some respects. And when I say that, we could have more artwork, more lore, but a lot of that material is available through the app. By keeping this more slim, maybe bare bones, we could say, it means it has a longevity. It's not easily invalidated. And you'll already understand that I make a big point about how Warmachine's rules have not really changed much from edition to edition. The core mechanics of the games are the same. So even if they were to do some more updates in future, which I really doubt, to the mechanics themselves, I think everything that ever will change will be restricted to, to the army, to the stats, to special rules there. Maybe a spell gets reworded, whatever. In this respect, then, we can consider how the Warmachine rulebook is written and presented in the same way, if we would draw a parallel to how Magic the Gathering has a core fundamental set of rules, and then all the cards on top of it is where the nuances and interesting things get layered on top. But even though those cards rotate in and out of edition and in tournament, and what is legal and what is not to be used, the very fundamentals of the rules stay the same, and that's what we have here. So that's what this rulebook is. Do I recommend it? Yes. I mean, I personally will like having this on hand for playing games. It's nice as a reference book. Do I need to take it with me to places to play games? No. Is it nice for people who enjoy having physical media? Yes. Are you going to be able to play the game with this rulebook and with physical cards in future? Yes, because they're doing print-on-demand cards. So that means this book plus the print-on-demand cards I do will give you an experience of Warmachine which is akin to the classic Warmachine experience of first, second, and third edition before the app was available. So that's all for now about Warmachine. Things that are coming up, we should be doing an unboxing of the Death Jack. I have that on the way, hopefully arriving this week at time of recording. And then I hope to, in the new year, maybe record some bat reps. Events coming up, we've got, as I say, there's ChillCon, there is KrugerCon, there is Lead and Steel, there is a lot going on. So that's it for now. So goodbye.